Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Global Event. And this time, this global event is organized by National Digital Library of India in association with our partner Wheels Global Foundation. Today, we are going to have a wonderful discussion session IoT Catalyst for Digital Transformation. And hi, I am Dr. Anirban Mukherjee, Principal Project Officer of National Digital Library of India. So before going anywhere, let's have a brief on NDLI. So NDLI was initially started as a pilot project in 2015 to integrate all the existing digitized content across educational institutes of the nation and provide a single window access to the different group of users. And thereafter, NDLI portal was nationally launched on 19th June 2018. Now, NDLI is working as a national knowledge asset, serve as the functional key driving force for education, research, innovation, and knowledge. This is a single window platform having nearly every kind of digital e-learning materials. Today, we have a resource of 94 millions of contents, and out of which nearly 79 million plus content are open access. We have an interface in 11 different Indian languages and the search facility in 3 different languages. And apart from that, we have a dedicated examination preparation and career development vertical. Let me introduce with that thing. So in our portal, NDLI has developed in his own content, and that is specifically for the students who are interested in IIT, JEE, JEE Main, and NEET, and as well as for the career development and recruitment vertical, we have also a separate collection. So here, student and career aspirants can get access to year's questions and the solution completely made in-house in the NDLI with the help of our subject experts. So please visit NDLI website, our portal. We are also present in Android and iOS app. Please visit our portal, surf the content, read, and enjoy. So now let me introduce. So now let me introduce our COO, Chief Operating Officer, National Digital Library of India, Mrs. Sujata Roy. She is the chairperson of Eastern India chapter of Wheels Global Foundation. So now I am handing over the session to Mrs. Sujata Roy.
Thank you, Dr. Anirban. So we have, and hello to everyone here. We have two very exceptional speakers here who will be enlightening us with their knowledge and experience. Uh, so let me first introduce the first speaker, Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee. He is an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur, having done his mechanical engineering from IIT. After that, he had pursued several executive management courses, like from MIT, the Sloan School of Management, Cambridge, Massachusetts, University of Warwick, UK, etc. Mr. Chatterjee has over 50 years of experience behind him in manufacturing industries. He is on the board of Wheels Global Foundation as well as the Sobers Insight Forum. Currently, he is passionately working towards giving back to the country, especially in the rural segment through future tech technologies. Welcome to the session, Mr. Chatterjee.
Okay. Namaskar.
Next, we have Mr. Sunil David. Sunil is an alumnus of Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies from Pune. He is an IoT thought leader in India and is an independent digital technology consultant. Earlier, he was the regional director of IoT India and ASEAN of AT&T India. Sunil has, to his credit, about 30 years of experience in the IT and telecom industry, business strategy, sales, business development, and alliance and partnership building. He is affiliated with a number of industry bodies like CII, NASCOM, IET, IACC, etc. A very popular speaker at industry forums on topics related to IoT, AI, 5G, digital transformation, metaverse, future of work, cyber security, etc. We do look forward to hear from him about all these areas. With this, may I now welcome Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee as a moderator to start the session, please.
Okay. Thank you, Sujata, for your great presentation. I may not deserve half of it, but yes. So I'm very lucky to have actually a thought leader and IoT expert of India and the world also, and Sunil David with us, and we'll hear from him on this IoT as a catalyst for digital transformation, being the topic. Now, in order to blend this one, I will start with few basics in IoT space, which are known by almost all the people. Still, to make it complete, I'll highlight a few slides from my IoT things. So let's start. Anirban, yeah. So the flow will be today's discussion will be. I'll just give a brief on what and why of IoT and other things, applications, etc. Then will follow the trends and the challenges and the opportunities that exist today in our India and the world. So now coming to slide number one, Anirban, and so I call it demystifying of IoT in a simple word because a lot of things I want to take one this one that is all the views are personal and it's not necessarily the views of the organization I am working. So this is my personal views and I'll be sharing this one. I also acknowledge uh, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Professor George Westerman and Professor uh, our yeah Sharma, Professor Sharma, and they are the IoT global person on this one working in MIT labs. So I have used some of the words from my association as a student in that one. So I'll be using a few things from their definition, etc. Now, third slide, please. Next, yeah. What is IoT? Everybody defines IoT in so many ways, but we are defining in slightly different way. That's why I put up this one. Is it a platform? Is it a technology? Is it something we can buy as a product? What do you think? So let's see what IoT experts define IoT as, and later on I'll ask Sunil's version of IoT also. And this Internet of Things is a way of thinking. It is a design language. That's what Sanjay Sharma, the professor in MIT Sloan, and here the I also stands for intelligence as well. Next slide, please. And yeah, I'm just defining IoT. It is coined by Kevin Ashton. You can Google search it or Chat GPT will tell you more about him. He is a Procter and Gamble person working in Auto ID Center at MIT. And he has coined this word actually IoT or Internet of Things in 98, 99. And now it has become a everyday affair. Everybody talks about IoT, but he's the person we should start after giving our respect to the person who coined the word. And what is that internet? We know about internet. It's a global network that connects computers, etc., and created by the people, for the people, and also about the people. But yeah, this is actually known to everybody. We are browsing every day on this, following TCP, IP protocol, etc. Now, new internet, that is just about connecting people, but connecting things. What are the things? Now we all know that smart devices which can communicate with each other without human intervention and also can act accordingly. So there are 15 to 20 billion connected devices, and it is going up in actually hyperbolic, I can say. So by 2030, we don't know how many billions will be coming here, and it's getting connected, added as and when we progress in our technology. Next, please, and why it is important IoT, because there are a lot of things can be done on the knowledge sharing and information sharing, but the biggest advantage is real time information, because then the decision you are taking as a business manager, it will be on real time, considering say 5 plants are there in India and abroad also. So then they're all connected. So you can immediately, on basis any corrective measure you have to take on the maintenance part. So it goes deep into all the things, and people need not work in silos actually. Earlier, plants were running in silos. After this, digitalization of the plants and the company, uh, we are removing the silos, and each one is connected with others, and not only within the organization, but connected devices can be from your suppliers and also to your customer. Basically, customer delight will be much better actually through this intervention of IoT sensors and all the protocols that it uses. Now, coming to next one, it actually improves the productivity by 22% and also reduces the cost by 40% approximately, as we estimated last year. And anything, Sunil, you want to tell something new later on, you can always correct me, but I'm telling whatever I have learned in my life. And the technologies that work here, I'll just go through briefly. Cloud computing, we all know Amazon Web Service, and then Microsoft Azure, and Google has got IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, all those things. So, platform as a service, software as a service, all these things are the technologies that will be used for IoT people to implement the right way actually and communicate with each other. So after cloud computing, there is another word I will have put here. That's a edge computer, because no, cloud is in the sky. When it comes down to earth, it becomes it becomes the this fog computer. We call it a fog computer, but normally you know as edge computing. Then API and large data, AI, ML, and network technologies, they were using earlier Wi-Fi, Zigbee, BLE, but people like Sunil, they have started using the blockchain and 5G, and no, all this digital twin version is very important, but I don't want to explain right now. This is basically to drive you through what you already know. And this is a very large course actually. It may take 1 year to really give it a justice. And even then you won't be satisfied, because by that time already other things have developed and some of them have become outdated already. So next please, and mainly next slide, Anirban. Yeah, the application will hear more from Sunil actually. But what I have worked on is Industry 4.0 and 5.0. agriculture farming applications, and then smart cities and modern transportation and healthcare applications, etc., etc. Sunil will highlight this one. So let's now take a deep dive into Sunil's experience in IoT, this one field. Of course, he has got experience in other fields also. Today we are connecting with the current thing. So Sunil, can you remove the slide, please? Yeah. Welcome, Sunil, and I'm so grateful and thankful that you could spare your valuable time to join us for this one and sharing your thoughts to the student generation, as well as some of the dignitaries. I know they have joined in YouTube. So all my namaste to all the audience, and also our friends who are there already there. So Sunil, are you ready now to take over that one? I'll start with a small thing because this I gave the brief on IoT, but that is not at all today's thing. It is actually Sunil will tell as a catalyst for digital transformation. And my first question to you, Sunil, the we know about IoT and all these applications. What are the trends, as you feel as an expert in India and the world, in fact, where we stand, and what is the trends in IoT?
Right. Firstly,
Sunil,
thank you
you.
so much. Yeah. Yeah. Firstly, thank you so much, Indrajit Chatterjee. I would like to also thank NDLI and the Wheels Global Foundation for inviting me to be part of the session, and a warm welcome to all those who have joined through YouTube. Indrajit, you set the context really well by talking about what is IoT and what are the key benefits of IoT. What are the technologies when it comes to IoT, specific industries where perhaps IoT can be adopted. Just to add to what you have shared, Indrajit, in terms of what is IoT, I would like to add by saying that uh, when you're trying to extract data from the physical world through sensorization of all assets, just getting data from a physical asset alone is not good enough. The real value of IoT would come in when you're able to add context to all the IoT data. That's where the real value would come in. So, for example, if you're having a vehicle which is going on the road, if you're able to use an IoT telematics device plugged into that vehicle, you're able to extract overall health of that vehicle, location, and so on. But what will really add value is data related to, say, its service history, who the manufacturer of that, and so on, and environmental conditions under which, say, that vehicle is moving. So the ability to then correlate data coming in from the vehicle with all the other data and the ability to make the right decisions is what really would add value to IoT. That is the only thing which I just wanted to add. Now, coming to some of the important aspects as it relates to IoT, Indrajit, the first and foremost thing is that I think for any organization before they embark on their IoT strategy is to identify the key problem statements. Why do they want to use IoT, right? So that is question number one. Secondly, once they identify what problem that they're wanting to solve, it could be in manufacturing shop floor wanting to reduce maintenance cost of a machine, or it might be wanting to better get visibility of their supply chain, and so on. So, having identified the problem statement, then you need to really clearly mention what the key performance indicators are. By implementing IoT, I want to reduce my manufacturing defects by 10%. I want to reduce my maintenance cost by 20%, and so on. And once you identify those KPIs, then you obviously choose the technology, right? So it's first identification of the problem statement, then you choose the technology. Now, having decided, that you have decided on the specific technology that you're going to use, I think what is very important from IoT standpoint is to start really small. It is very, very important to start with a pilot. Once you start
Yeah.
seeing the benefit, then you need to slowly scale. Okay, so it's a very simple mantra. Think big, think of the large picture, start small and scale fast. The real value will come when you actually scale fast. So many projects that I have seen, they start off very well. Maybe a company would have 100 manufacturing plants, They might probably use IoT in a very few plants, but they don't necessarily go and scale it to the other plants. So I think what is important is to really scale those IoT projects. That's really the value. Now, talking of specific trends, Indrajit, a few things which I just wanted to call out, and you also touched upon it a little earlier. You talked about AI, you talked about edge, right? So when you look at IoT, I think the real value, as I mentioned, comes from the data that you're going to get, the ability to get those insights, the ability to make the right decisions. So I see a trend going forward where we're probably going to see this whole fusion of IoT and AI. So you can perhaps use the term AIoT. So that is definitely something which is already happening, but that will
Yeah.
get accelerated going forward, right? Because otherwise, no point just getting sensor data if you're not able to extract value from it and take decisions. So the data is going to be important. So applying AI to that is going to be critical. Second, as you said about edge, I think we are already started to see some use cases where you don't necessarily have to send all sensor data to the cloud.
Yeah.
There would be use cases where you would need to process all the data closer to where the data is getting generated from, right? So there are enough and more use cases where you can use an edge device, process data locally so that you can respond quickly to any kind of events. So that's another trend that will probably play out going forward. Third trend I would say is that with 5G now being operational in India, it's almost 7 months since we rolled out 5G, and globally there are rollouts which have happened across multiple countries. 5G is going to definitely trigger a lot more IoT adoption, because one of the important characteristics of 5G is it's got high connection density. In a 1 square kilometer radius, you can have 1 million devices. So that's another trend that will definitely play out going forward, and India won't be an exception to that. That's another thing. Now, coming to specific industries where I see adoption where it will pick up, I wanted to specifically talk about three or four very, very briefly, and I'll also talk about some specific examples how organizations have benefited having implemented IoT. I wanted to start with manufacturing because manufacturing is a very, very important industry from an India standpoint. It contributes almost 18% to India's GDP. And there's a lot of push from the government to make India a manufacturing hub. So not just making in India for India, but making in India for the world, right? So if India has to really become a manufacturing hub, we need to add a lot of value to our manufacturing. And it is very, very important that all manufacturers, big and small, really adopt IoT in multiple areas. And I would ideally like to have it in three different buckets where they can look at adopting IoT. First is the connected factory, where you can have IoT connected to all your machines. Today, unplanned downtime is a big challenge. Many machines go down, and they're not able to diagnose why those machines go down. And when your machines go down in a factory, that means it's downtime, it means loss of production, it means loss of revenue for the manufacturer, right? Through IoT, you can monitor it remotely. You can know exactly when a machine or the subsystem within that machine might fail, and you can actually do predictive maintenance, right? And here I wanted to give the example of how a large aluminum company like Hindalco, they have plants across India, well-known case study. After they have implemented IoT in their factory, connecting to pretty much all their machines, they started to see significant benefit. They started to see cost of maintenance coming down drastically. They are now able to predict when a particular machine might fail. That is one. Second thing is, within a factory, there are machines, there are compressors, boilers, chillers, lot of equipment
Yeah.
which consume a lot of energy, right? Huge energy guzzlers. And the question is, how do you optimize energy? And given that today there's so much of focus on ESG, environmental, social, and governance goals, and especially the environmental part, how do you optimize energy? Because the more energy you consume, the more the CO2 emissions. And a lot of the manufacturing units today are definitely wanting to leverage IoT to manage energy, to manage waste, to manage water usage, and so on. Specifically on energy, I think there is technology available today where through energy meters you can measure amount of energy being consumed, but more importantly, trying to optimize and control that, right? And that's where your AI and machine learning would come in, because you would be able to get a much better sense of how much of energy is consumed, and also to make sure that you can control it. That is important. And there are companies which have implemented it and have started to see savings in terms of energy. The other important thing is assets within a factory. Indrajit, there are so many assets. I gave you the example of machines, but there are forklifts, there are robots, a lot of assets. And for any manufacturer, one very important thing is how do you ensure that you get your best performance of an asset, out of an asset, right? So you want your asset, if that asset is generating revenue for you, you want to make sure that the uptime of that asset is maintained at 100%. You also want to reduce the cost of maintenance of that asset, right? So asset management, that's very, very critical. So managing all those assets, IoT will play a big part. Second thing is within manufacturing and supply chain. Again, very critical because
Yeah.
today, if you just look at India, our logistics cost as a percentage of GDP is almost 18%. Sorry, 15%, 14 to 15%. It's very, very high. And that is impacting India's competitiveness as a manufacturing hub. So, how do we get the logistics cost as a percentage of GDP to less than 10%, which is what the case is in China and the US? It is about 8 or 9% in China and US. And there again, you can use IoT. For example, when you look at supply chain and logistics, one is you want to have better visibility of your supply chain, not just of your tier one suppliers, but tier two, tier three. So monitoring all the fleet which is going on the roads, right? Exactly knowing where your vehicles are, monitoring all the pallets which carry goods going from point A to point B. Many of them are very temperature and humidity sensitive. So you want to monitor whether the temperature variation is there and so on. So connected supply chain, that's a topic in itself, but huge amount of opportunity where you can leverage the power of IoT through sensors, AI, machine learning obviously will come into play to get better visibility of a supply chain. The third thing is Indrajit, and where perhaps as a country in India, we may not have infused IoT into this, and that is the connected products. So especially in discrete manufacturing, when you're churning out products from the factory, it could be consumer products like a air purifier, it could be a water purifier, it could be an air conditioner, it could be a fridge, consumer related products, it could be industrial products like compressors, generators, and so on. And then, of course, the automobiles, connected cars today, huge market today where you can plug in a telematics device and monitor these cars. As a user, I'm able to get a lot more information about the health of the vehicle, battery health, engine performance, coolant levels, and so on. So that's where there's a lot of opportunity. And for the manufacturer, if they're able to fuse IoT into a product which is on the field, and by getting data about the performance of that particular vehicle or any asset which is on the field, a product, then using the data, I'm able to apply AI and machine learning, and I'm able to actually offer a lot more personalized service. So that is an area where definitely I see a lot of opportunity. Connected products as a segment has not really been exploited, and this is an area definitely the manufacturers can seriously consider in terms of deploying IoT. The other industry which I feel where we'll probably see a lot more adoption of IoT, where we have not seen so far, is in the agriculture segment. As you know, India, again, agriculture big contributor to India's GDP, almost 20%, contributing more than 40% to India's uh, workforce. And there, whether you look at monitoring soil health, whether you talk about trying to improve yield for farmers, trying to take data driven decisions so that farmers know exactly how much of water to use, optimize the right water usage, use of the right pesticides, fertilizers, trying to find out disease infestation in crops, again using a combination of computer vision and IoT. A lot of these use cases, and the only way by which we can solve some of our major challenges that we face in agriculture, because agriculture, as you would know, Indrajit, is uses a lot of water, right? And water is at a premium today. And especially if you just look at paddy, you look at sugarcane, they're guzzlers of water. And there you can actually optimize water usage. And hence IoT will play a big part there. The last thing which I wanted to call out is some of the big government projects that are going on right now. Smart City Mission was launched in 2015. There, again, a lot of projects already started. Whether you look at smart waste management or smart lighting, video surveillance. But one area which I just wanted to highlight is this whole smart metering. So about 4 or 5 years back, Energy Efficiency Services Limited, which is a joint venture of three power companies, Power Grid, and a couple of others, they came up with this initiative to replace 250 conventional meters with smart meters. Because today, what's happening is there's a lot of revenue leakage happening. People are using the normal meters, and you can actually plug in that, reduce that leakage or eliminate it by using smart meters. For the customer also, it's good because he has much better understanding of his energy usage at home. And also you can reduce physical requirements. You really don't need somebody from the electricity board to come to your home to check your meter readings and all that. You can have a smart meter which is IoT enabled,
Yeah.
cellular SIM inside it, data goes to cloud, you have real-time information about your usage, and so on. So this whole project has already started. I think about a couple of crores of meters have already been installed, but still about 20 odd crores to go. And the same metering concept can apply also to water. Again, large residential buildings today can use water meters where you actually pay based on amount of water that you use. In fact, there is a couple of companies, water purifier companies, are now offering water as a service. So instead of buying water, a company called Live Pure, which is a brand which Sachin Tendulkar himself endorses. There's another company called Drink Prime in Bangalore. These two companies are actually offering water purifier as a service. So you don't need to buy the water purifier. They have IoT enabled inside it. You get it for free, and using your app on the phone, you can order how much of water you want through the tap. You order 10 liters, you pay for 10 liters. As you come closer to the 10th liter of consumption, you get an alert saying that time to do a recharge, and you can do a recharge. That way, you have a lot more discipline in terms of, because you're paying based on usage, right? So you'll be a lot more careful in terms of water you use, right? So these are broadly industries where we can see it. Retail also, yes, a lot of examples I can give you. I don't have the time to share that. Healthcare is an example where we can see a lot of IoT being used, especially in the COVID situation. You had vaccines which had to be maintained at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. If there's any variation in the temperature, then the vaccine loses its efficacy. So there was technology that was used, assets or cold containers which had these vaccines had to be monitored through IoT. Any variation in temperature would be reported back, and they know exactly that that particular lot needs to be replaced and all that. So that's another example which I wanted to share. But broadly, this is what I wanted to share, Indrajit, in terms of trends, in terms of specific industries where we are seeing IoT being adopted.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Sunil. And it's really you are a think tank also. I forgot to tell your latest one. So it's a wonderful way you have explained actually how IoT is trend. Not only that, the application in all the field that is there. I have many questions to ask. So I'll request, like me, all the audience may have a lot of questions for you. So can I request the audience to keep their question answers in the comment box in the YouTube, and it will be collated and presented to us after the session is over, so that now we can start immediately on the question answer hour session on this. Now, Sunil, yeah, industry to vehicles to road safety to smart city, you have covered all. And also my home in Boston is full of, it's an IoT home actually. Fortunately, my son has arranged for all the things. So your health thing goes directly to the doctor. Even I was using a toothbrush. My dental condition is going to the no different way. So this way, no, lot of privacy is also important, and also no, while it's sharing this data and transferring, there are many things alert. No, we should take care of that one while doing the implementation. So can I take the audience round to with our next question? That okay, IT is good and it's real time and a lot of efficiency increased and a lot of money also is being spent on implementing this one. So you suggested very nice way. I followed that. Actually, you use one line for the trial and then scale it up. Think big and do
Scale
little
fast.
and then scale it up. That's why I use the example of silos. Also, home purpose. No, all smart homes are using and hotels they're using IoT there. So, if you can tell the audience actually for doing this one, what are the challenges normally people face? Not only the monetary challenges, and digitalization is something which is needed by everybody. and hated by all the CXOs. So, can you highlight on the challenges that we face while using this or implementing this IoT things?
Sure,
Pradeep?
Indrajit. So, yeah, sure. So, when you look at some of the challenges today as to why adoption in India has not really picked up, I believe we have just kind of scratched the surface. There's a huge opportunity in India, and I'll come to opportunities later. But if you just look at some of the specific challenges, I just wanted to share a few. The first thing is that the IoT hardware cost, the IoT devices, the devices which comprise of the sensors, the network module, the processing power that is needed through microcontrollers that you use in the device, and so on. So the cost of the IoT device today has to come down even further, and that's been one of the barriers. And that, of course, is getting addressed because the government announced the PLI scheme last year. 14 sectors have been identified. Telecom sector is one, and there is definitely a push to make IoT devices in India. That's obviously going to take some time, but the IoT device hardware cost has to come down, and that has been one barrier as far as adoption is concerned. Many organizations may not want to spend a lot of money on hardware, so they are also looking to the IoT solution providers where they can offer the hardware on a rent model or on a lease model, and so on. Number two, Indrajit, is cybersecurity, because as you expose
Yeah.
your asset to the internet, then you're obviously open to threats, and hence that has to be addressed. And you've seen so much of cyber threats that have attacks that
Yeah.
have happened over the last 3 years. Actually, after COVID hit, the attack surface has widened. A lot more threats have happened. A lot more threats and a lot more attacks have happened, including industrial assets being attacked. The most recent one was being a large pharma company a couple of months back, Sun Pharma, which was attacked.
Yeah.
They suffered a ransomware attack, and so much so that they had to come back and tell the market that for the coming couple of quarters there might probably be a revenue impact. So such is the impact that cyber threats attacks will impact a company's performance, right? So that has to be addressed, and that again can be addressed because when you look at IoT, one has to look at a very holistic strategy. So one has to provide, make sure that the device is secure, the IoT device is secure, the network, the data through which you're going through the network, that network is secure, and of course a lot of the data is on the cloud. So you got to ensure the security of the data and applications which is on the cloud, right? So, and then of course you are using threat intelligence. You might be using AI and machine learning also to get to a stage where you can even predict a particular threat. So cyber threats can be addressed, but it needs security to be addressed at multiple layers. We call it the defense in depth strategy, security at multiple layers. That's number two. The third thing is a lot more related to an organization culture and leadership, Indrajit, because
Yeah.
when you look at leave aside IoT, any digital transformation initiative for an organization means that you're trying to change the way you're doing your business. You're trying to change the way you are engaging with the customer. You're trying to change some of your internal operations. So the moment you try to bring about such a change inside an organization, that would mean that you need to have a leader who's very committed to the digital vision of the organization. And it's just not enough for the CEO or the chief digital officer to have that vision and to really embark on that project. It's all the people below them who also need to align to that vision, right? Because the moment you start making changes, it means people also have to change. That would call for skilling, upskilling, and all that. And a lot of the projects get stalled because the people who are, say, the first level managers, second level managers, they are not aligned to the vision, and they may not necessarily want to go along with the top leadership in terms of embarking on that project. All right, so that has to be addressed, and that can only be addressed if you are able to get a leader who makes sure that right from the beginning itself he gets all the stakeholders involved. They're all aligned with the digital vision.
Yeah.
All of them realize that by using IoT or any technology, it's only going to make the organization better. It would call for them to change. It will call for skilling and all that. And the last part of the skilling part, because you would need people with the right level of skills. When you're generating so much of data, how do you make sense of the data? So you need people with the right level of skills to handle all that data, to be able to get those data insights. And hence today there might be organizations who may not necessarily have people with those right level of skills to be able to manage all these technologies, right? So these are things which I just wanted to call out, Indrajit. Of course, in India, we also have a couple of other specific challenges.
Yeah.
Connectivity still needs to be improved. There are pockets of India which is not well connected, and hence, as you have assets there, vehicles going there, you may not be able to connect them, get IoT data from those locations. So that is getting addressed. Hopefully, once you have the BharatNet project fiber laid across the country, once you have satellite network as an option, that is again an option where you can reach remote locations of India. And then once 5G gets connected, penetrated to every village and town, I think a lot of the connectivity challenges will also get addressed in the region.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot, Sunil. Really, it's a very insightful message from you, coming from you, and it helps us actually in understanding what are the threats. And I'll just add one thing to that one. I
Sure.
think, with your permission, this
Please go ahead.
main problem I have faced in my life, later part of the life, because digitalization is a later generation. When we worked, actually, we worked with slide rules in IIT, etc. And now people are working on edge computer to high data, low latency. So many things are there today to learn about it. So I learned the digitalization process, as you explained very well, that it should be CDO should be actually CEO of the company, and he should be more powerful. And second factor is governance of that one, because you have to be a watchdog to see who is falling in this one or not falling, and it has to go real time to all the workmen, not only to the bosses. Cannot come in the top down approach. It's a holistic change in the management is very important. It includes the workmen very much in the manufacturing industry. I had found one problem personally in our house in Boston, because locks are there that is made from some company has provided, but it is IoT lock. So you can operate that one. Then the temperature and room temperature, etc. We have eco and etc. So many we are doing, but that's working on another platform. Alexa is working on another platform. So the interoperability, we call it, that part actually plays a huge role. I try to talk to some of the world leaders, but they say, "Now this is our product. You want to use it, you take it. We can't be following one common technology or the base, to use to make life easier for even common men who use that one." And so what happens? So again, you limiting that limitations of the base, particularly what you call it API and this one platform. They are very very important actually, so that the association, IoT association, we are all members of that one. So they are coming out, but people are not very responsive actually. This depends on. So once you buy some product, you have to see that company brings out all the other connected products for your thing, which does not make it a very commercial. No, you lose money on that one, because it can't be that way. Either you choose this or you choose this one. So there has to be a governance of all the things. No, world leaders should sit together and access something which is interoperable. I tell that one very strongly. So you can always talk about it. You have faced all the problems, I know, more than me. But looking at the time, I'm looking at the time also at the same time. I have only last question I'll ask you, Sunil,
Sure.
to take us through that one, because it is these webinars are meant for mainly students community, and also some people who are interested to know IoT or any of the future tech thing that we are working in IoT network. So, what is the third question actually is, what are the opportunities you have for the students if they want to take up a job? Which job offers are there? How lucrative it is in India and abroad? Or no, somebody wants to start an IoT business, IoT related business. I know in our group we have many people who are starting the products. So can you highlight that one? What are the opportunities for the students? Because they will ask this question definitely. Sorry.
Yeah, sure, Indrajit. So the first and foremost thing is that within India itself, there are a lot of problems that need to be solved. So there's enough and more opportunity to solve some of India's challenges, be it around climate change, be it around supply chain, manufacturing, healthcare. Number one, the opportunity. Second is that if you just look at the MSME industry in India, we have about 6.3 crore MSMEs in India. More than 50 to 60% are in the services industry, the remaining are in manufacturing. And a lot of the MSMEs, especially the micro industry,
Yeah.
more than 90% of the MSMEs are micro, which is probably less than a 5 crore kind of a turnover. Many of them have not even started their digital journey. So, and they have also realized that if they don't adopt digital, their very survival is in question. Forget about growth,
Yeah.
right? So there's a huge opportunity to tap, targeting the MSME industry. Of course, when you target the MSME industry, you have to come up with a very cost-effective solution that will address their pain points. One has to be very flexible in terms of how they offer the service and all that. That's number two. And even among the larger industries, many industries have still a long way to go because digital transformation is always going to be a journey. It's never going to be an end state. So a lot of the large enterprises are also today wanting to look at opportunities from startups because in my current role as a consultant, I engage with a lot of CDOs. I'm trying to help a company in terms of trying to connect this company with CDOs in my network. And even as I reach out to these CDOs, many of them are very hungry for great solutions which can solve some of their problems, right? So even the larger side enterprises have potential opportunities which can be addressed. And the last thing which I want to say, Indrajit, is that there are enough drivers now for IoT adoption to pick up. Okay, so
Yeah.
first and foremost thing is that the IoT device cost is likely to come down. As I mentioned about the PLI scheme, might take a couple of years because it will take some at least that time to build the whole ecosystem. Today we are importing IoT devices. A lot of the chipsets, memory modules are all coming from outside. If you are able to build that ecosystem in India, manufacture that in India, the cost of hardware will come down. That will drive adoption. Second thing is cloud is ubiquitous today. You need cloud. In fact, I call it the power of three, Indrajit. AI, IoT, and cloud all put together can really create a lot of magic, right? So cloud is ubiquitous. Pretty much
Yeah.
all hyperscale providers are in India. The data center industry is going to grow. Government have also given data center industry an infrastructure status, which means they get concessional financing, and you need more of those data centers as you find cloud adoption picking up. Um,
Correct.
third and most important thing, Indrajit, is, and again, this is because of my telecom background. The options for connectivity today are far more today compared to what it was 5 or 6 years back. You have
Yeah.
cellular, you have wireless, you have satellite, a lot more options for connectivity today. So that's also one important driver, right? So I think that having said all this, all I want to share is that for the students, I think if they want to embark on a career when it comes to IoT, I think first and foremost thing is to figure out IoT being such a vast and complex domain. What is that specific area they want to focus on? One can go into hardware. There could be opportunity in that space. One can also look at maybe getting into the data science side. One can probably look at getting into the cloud side. There is a lot of demand for cloud. So I think my take is that for any student, you specialize in one area, and to have a broad understanding of other technologies, because for IoT to work, you need the coming together of all these technologies, right? So you can specialize in one or two domains, go really deep into those two, and then have a good understanding of all the adjacent technologies. That is what I would advise them. And for those who want to start up something, I think what is very important is identifying the right problem statement. That is very, very critical. Getting to what is called product to market fit. Many startups fail because they don't get the right product to market fit, right? So
And the
making sure,
right time. A
yeah,
right time
absolutely,
also is very.
yes, exactly. Getting that at the
Apple
right
failed
time.
because of the wrong time of introduction.
Yeah, yeah,
It's still a
absolutely.
history for us.
So identifying the problem statement, getting the right product to market fit, and more importantly, whatever solution that they're going to offer has to be scalable. Because if it is not scalable, then I don't think they will be able to sustain for a long period of time. So that is
Great.
what my
Sunil,
last.
we are approaching
I'm
closer
done.
to our session. So, can I now? You had actually explained it so nicely. There may be a lot of questions. Anirban, can you take us through the questions from the viewers or your attendees or participants? Please, you go ahead with the question. Some 10 minutes we can take, then we have our own thing. Take away by Sunil.
Here you can see the question on screen that, sir, what
Yeah,
are
that's what
the
I asked
career
earlier.
opportunities available in IT industries and what are the advantages over IoT?
So career opportunities in IT industry, I think, is huge because if you just look at any large IT company, not just the big five or six like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, HCL Tech, mid-tier IT companies, smaller companies, pretty much every IT company. In fact, I've interacted with quite a few of them in my previous experience also. All of them have a huge focus on IoT because they are trying to provide complete solutions to their end customers. So they are always on the lookout for people with the right talent who can be recruited. So definitely, of course, today's environment is slightly different because, as you all know, because of the overall macroeconomic situation today, especially what's playing out in the US, the hiring is kind of come down a little bit. But IT industry, yes, there are opportunities there for people to wanting to get into them. Especially many of them have IoT practices, a center of excellence of IoT. So yes, there is opportunity there for students or people with a couple of years of experience to get into.
So that's great.
So
And
another question that we have, uh, like, can IoT learning can be classified for the students with the different degree programmers? I didn't get it properly, so uh,
So I think what they must do is see, like I've also contributed to syllabus when it comes to IoT
yeah,
to some.
yeah,
There are
I think
colleges which have approached me saying that I want to have IoT topics included in their program. So I think what is important is that when you're going to have IoT in your syllabus, it also has to include other adjacent technology. AI, machine learning, cloud, connectivity technologies, because the foundation has to be very strong. And as I mentioned, it's coming together of all these technologies that ensure that your solution would work, right? So you have to cover it holistically, cover all these topics, and not just kind of restrict yourself only to IoT related things. Uh, that's my response to that question.
yeah, I
so.
think that's a
Another
great thing.
question we have from a
That
student.
previous question was very important actually, coming
Yeah,
from a professor. No, it's really
yeah.
important today's context. And Sunil is working on that one. So thank you, Dr. Prabhat, actually, for your question. Really, it's a great no uh, thing that we are trying to impose on the colleges and the ICT, etc., to be convinced, introducing this along with other no connected. We use the word connected. Everything should be taught as a holistic thing, as Sunil has told very nicely, has answered that one. Next question you can tell, and
Yeah,
we'll
this
stop
question
with this.
is
Is the last question, and then other people who have questions, please give it to Anirban, and that one we'll try to send a reply in the future. There is no problem on
yeah.
that one. Any one of us can send a reply back to
So
the.
the student asked which technology is required for work with IoT. I think the question
He has
should
not
be.
heard us properly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she might be asking about the basic minimum requirement of the technologies that is required for the IoT. So I think that we have already discussed in
Yeah,
detail.
so it has to
So
work with IoT alone is not going to suffice. You need data analytics, AI, machine learning,
Yeah.
cloud, connectivity technologies all have to work together. Yeah.
so
Thank you.
that's it. The questions that we get. So one question I'm taking for the last as last question. It is like, mm, so how cloud is used by company. So I think that will be a detailed
Yeah, I
discussion.
think we are generating so much of data from
Mm,
sensors coming to connecting to these assets. For an organization, to build their own computing infrastructure to store that data doesn't make sense. So you might as well leverage the scale uh, and the compute power of the cloud to send all that sensor data to process all the data, to visualize the data, to analyze the data, and all that. Right. So cloud is very important element of the whole overall solution. So you need a
So
hybrid kind of an approach.
another
IoT.
question that I might be asking you. So already this question is here: how IoT is helpful in the field of library and information science? So, as being National Digital Library of India, it's a very expected question. So, it can be used to automation in library and digitization and
Yeah, so
automation.
I think I don't know. We have the issue of whether books get lost in a library. That is a possibility, right? Books might be lost uh, for whatever reason. You can probably have.
Organizations of books, automation in the organizations,
So
and
you,
Yeah.
you could have each
cataloging.
book tagged with a barcode or an RFID thing, and that way you can have a better you have real time information of all the books inside. But other things is that specifically looking at IoT, I'm sure large libraries would have air conditioners. You would have a lot of. You might probably build a server infrastructure also, and uh, having a lot of data in that.
And
So you,
libraries are using IFRD techniques and all these things that is also connected to these
yeah,
things that
absolutely.
to
But
identify
cooling.
the accession and organization of the books. This is a kind of IoT things, IFRD tagging, and with that searching and cataloging and organizing books. I think,
Even cooling also, Nirban, because you have ACs, so you can regulate the cooling through IoT. Depending on
yeah.
the number of people in the library, if there are a lot more people, you obviously have temperature much lower. If there are lesser people, you increase the temperature. So that way you can regulate the cooling also, and that can be done through IoT. You can save on
And
energy cost.
IoT, I think it can be it will be, have a huge use in the digital library, in digitization techniques and all these things. I think, and that will be a detailed discussion and that can be done later on. So we are running out of
Yeah,
time.
actually, this
So
library thing, no, if all the libraries in the world are connected, like I have visited Ivy League library, they're connected with others. So this book you search, it may not be in that college or university, no. I went to Columbia and MIT, etc. They are connected. That fellow from MIT sent the book to me, and that's the kind of thing actually you can go in for, because India is having problem they're fighting for this introduction of IoT. As I said, there is a mind. No, this is a what should I say? It does not look nice, but mindset of the people should change, and the decision makers' mindset is very important. So it takes about 6 months to train up a CDO or CEO to have his mind focused on implementing this one and getting the benefit from business intelligence, which actually we are not touching upon the business intelligence. But when you run any industry or company of your own or somebody, then business intelligence is very important. Raw data, it creates actually terabytes, petabytes, etc. 1,000 terabytes is 1 petabyte. When you go to IoT, you have to handle this kind of data, and that's why edge computer analyzes that and send the information. Another one I want to, actually it's a very basic thing I've been asked by one college student, and sometimes one of my colleagues also who have not matured yet. Is the cloud computing really in the cloud, or what is that one? And that actually, no, people ask that type of question, and it is very genuinely thought, no, because I visited a cloud computer on the earth, and that's covered by all the bomb proof, etc., all the things. It's in India also, Bombay. We have visited that lab. So that is the kind of thing on the cloud. We should not have any wrong information that at the end of the webinar, what is cloud computing, all those things. So I think we'll stop at that one, Anirban, and then
yeah, yeah, we are running out of time.
yeah, that's
So
what.
mm,
Can we ask Sunil to give some bullet points summarizing this one and key takeaways for the audience who have joined late, and they can have those key takeaways from that
and
session? About 2 minutes you spend, Sunil, and then.
Sure, Indrajit. I think this was a very good conversation with you, Indrajit. We started off with you're talking about what is IoT, why is IoT important, uh, some of the technologies that come into play when you look at IoT, specific industries where we can use IoT. I kind of briefly covered about some of the trends that we are seeing playing out, especially when you look at IoT and AI merging, the amalgamation of AI and IoT happening, AIoT, the use of edge for IoT deployments that we are seeing picking up. And of course, some of the industries where we are seeing the deployment picking up, especially in manufacturing, in factories, supply chain, connected products, agriculture, healthcare, retail, a lot of government projects which are implementing IoT, especially as it relates to managing utilities, power, and all that. So a lot of opportunity also with government projects because they have huge budgets. Hence, there may be a lot of projects, especially for companies who provide solutions only for smart city projects. We spoke about some of the challenges that are associated with IoT. I covered aspects related to cybersecurity, which is a challenge. The cost of IoT devices, which are still on the higher side, that needs to come down. Projects needs to scale up. We need people with the right level of skills to handle all the data, handle these kind of projects, and then the opportunities that I shared, where I mentioned that there are so many MSMEs which are not started. Their digital journey, the huge opportunity there. A lot of problems that India still needs to address, and that's where technology and IoT will definitely be a part of that. And there are drivers for IoT adoption. Hardware cost will come down thanks to the PLI scheme. The cloud is getting increasingly adopted. So enough and more drivers, and for the startups also, if they're able to pick the right problem statement, get the right product to market fit, and then they're able to make sure that they are providing a solution that is scalable. I think there's a very bright future ahead for them. So that
That's
kind of sums up what we all discussed over the last 1 hour, Indrajit
that's
and
great to know. Very nice summarization by Sunil, as always he does. May I ask Anirban to extend the webinar by 5 minutes?
Yeah,
This time is.
that we need to.
Can we
We need.
take 5 more minutes? So
Mm.
I want to talk now. I putting on a hat of Wills Global Foundation, and I'm a board member of that one. So I like to take 1 minute in introducing Wills Global Foundation. It is an organization started by IIT alumni in US in 2006, and it has we have got a 501c3 company in USA as well as a Section 8 company, non-profit in India. So the 6 areas that we talk: water, health, energy, education, livelihood, and sustainability. And there are a lot of people who want to give back and they can't do it individually. So this is a very good platform where we have got aggregators of knowledge and funds and everything, but it's voluntary all the work. So I request them to go through our website www.willsglobal.org, and if you'll find everything in details there, and you can join us actually in that one. There are scope to send mails, or you can add as a volunteer or any of the things. So that will be extremely good, helpful for us. And thanks to NDLI for giving us a platform to spread the knowledge of technology, etc., to the students community. I'll hand it over to Anirban for the vote of thanks. Anirban,
So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I would like to convey my thanks to our speakers, our team members. We are very delighted to having such personalities with us. Thank you, Mr. Indrajit Chatterjee, Mr. Sunil Levitt, for being with us. Thank you, Mrs. Suyata Roy. Uh, Thanks everybody who came here, who spent their times with us. Every person who have learned anything, who have the students and the mentors who asked the question, and each and every person who were with us. I would like to thanks everybody. I would like to thanks my entire team of National Digital Library of India. I am extending my thanks to the IIT Kharagpur for developing, holding, and maintaining this project. I would like to convey my thanks to Ministry of Education for sponsoring such a good project. And Last but not the least, I would like to say everybody that if due to time constraint we are not being able to take all the questions, so if you have any question, so that you can ask, you can send mail to me in the following. This is my email ID, that is anirbanmid@gmail.com. So please send your question. I will put forward to our speakers, and I know that definitely you'll get the answer from them. And with all these things, uh, again, thank you everyone. And now we are signing off. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks,
Yes.
Sujata, for
Thank
joining
you.
us from New Jersey, and it's a good thing for all of us.
So bye
Thanks.
bye.